Good morning, good afternoon or good evening everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another instalment in the Sydney Railroad build. If you're watching last week, you'll have seen me build the sub-roadbed for the ethanol plant. This week, let's get the track installed on it. So without further ado, let's just head out to the workshop and lay that track. Well, my task for today is to start track laying on the harbour branch. I'm going to start at the junction here, work my way down the main, get this crossover in, and then I can work in 3 different directions from there. Before I can lay even 1 yard of track, I've got to go back inside and work out exactly what feeder colours I chose for this area. I know I already worked it out, but I haven't printed it out yet. So let me go in and get that documentation and I'll be right back. Well, so far this morning I have only installed 4 yards of track, but I do have all the bus wires installed and hooked up, including the bus wires for the lead track which will eventually run behind it. Before I can get much further, I've got to go inside and get some turnouts so I can position them. So while I'm doing that, I may as well also print out a track diagram with all the turnouts marked. Well, the first thing I did after I came back out was to prep this curved turnout into the ethanol yard. I've also got some packing to do on the outside because it's on a curve, so the main line needs to be super elevated on the inside, meaning that the outside has to be higher at that point, and then I'll just have to gradually lose the extra height in both directions. That's not too difficult. But the very next turnout after that crossover, where the glue bottle is now standing, is one of the custom curved turnouts that I haven't built yet. There's actually 5 of them in the ethanol yard, so I'm just going to go in now, build those 5, and then by the time I come out, that glue is going to be set nice and hard, so I'll be able to continue. Well, I've now built all 5 of the flexible turnout skeletons that I need. They're all number 7. I've come back out here and I have finished curving the 2 at this end of the yard. I'm going to leave the other 3 until tomorrow or until I get there. It's just about the end of the day. I don't really have a lot of time left. So I'm going to take these 2 inside, get the ties glued on, get them finished, so that I can install them tomorrow morning. This morning I installed the curved crossover that I prepped yesterday, and I've also got the next 4 turnouts. Sorry, no, my mistake. I've got the next 3 turnouts installed, although I did prep the 4th one. I've just got to install feeders and get that glued down. There's also 2 more that I've started working on. I didn't bring the camera out this morning, so I didn't take any progress pictures. I'm just going to continue working on the yard ladder and see how far I get this afternoon. Well, that is most of the yard ladder done, all the way to the end of the spurs facing this way. I can't quite finish it. This turnout here is not glued in place yet, and nor is this short piece of plain track that I've got my fingers on. The problem is that this switch machine will be right over the top of the 2-track short line staging yard, so it has to be mounted further back, round about here where my finger is, and I'm going to have to cut a groove in the foam rubber and put a piece of brass tube in there. Unfortunately, I don't have any in stock. I finished it all last time I needed some. I am planning on going to Jackson tomorrow, so I will buy some then and I'll be able to continue. There's still a bit of time left today, so I'm going to start filling in bits of plain track. I think I'll just go back, fill in the missing main line and maybe the yard lead if I have time. Well, that is everything west of the entry crossover installed. The yard lead and the first half of the main line curve. That curve is of course super elevated. The yard lead is flat because it'll be a 5-mile-an-hour track, so there'll be no super elevation. Well, I didn't get much done yesterday. because I was running errands most of the day. But I did get a couple of pieces of track in. I got the last turnout in and that short piece of track over the top of the special turnout control. This morning I've been a lot more productive, however. I've got a few yards of the main line in and most of this end of the yard. I've actually been even more productive than it might appear because I've been installing the bus wires and hooking up the feeders as I go. This afternoon I'm just going to continue laying track, see how far I get, and I'll talk to you again later. Well, not much time has passed since I was last talking to you, but I have now laid all 4 of the spurs in this corner. The 2 long ones for grain delivery and the shorter ones at the back. One of them, I believe, is the ammonia delivery track, and I can't remember what the other one is for, but it does have a specific purpose. Anyway, that's all my weights used up for the time being, but it doesn't mean I can't continue. I can hook up some more feeder wires, and I can start prepping track on the next yard section, and by the time I've done all that, I can then recycle the weights. Well, since I last spoke to you, I got the feeder wires mostly caught up on the bottom, and I have laid 5 more lengths of track. There's a 4-foot piece here and 4 more 35-inch lengths. I've also prepped some more track in the back, but I haven't installed it yet. It is now just gone 5:30, so it's time to go inside feed Zeus. I'm going to call it a day, and I'm going to come back out tomorrow and continue. I've also done some calculations, and I don't have enough Code 83 track to finish this job, so I'm going to have to order some more this evening, and hopefully it gets here fairly soon so it doesn't hold me up too long. Well, so far this morning I've laid a few pieces of track in the yard, and I've also got the main line in around this curve as far as the start of the bridge. As far as the yard is concerned, I want to leave the end of the track where it is and start from this end, work my way back towards what I've already laid. With a double-ended yard, it's always best to start from both ends and work towards the middle. It's a lot easier to get the alignment right. So with that in mind, I have already finished soldering together these 3 custom curved skeletons. So now I'm going to take those inside, finish them, and also glue the tie strips on 6 other turnouts that I'm missing. Then this afternoon I'll come back out with all the turnouts I need to finish the job. Well, I now have all the turnouts out here that I need to finish the job. I've positioned these 6 left-hand number 7s where they need to go. 4 of them are conventional straight number 7s and 2 of them have custom curves on them. My next task is to get these all prepped so I can join them together in the right places and then see about getting them installed. And then I will be in good shape to continue the rest of the yard. Well, that is 5.5 of those 6 turnouts prepped. The curved one near the pile of rail joiners only has the toe end done, which is all I need to do to get the one next to it installed. I can't install that one until I have the other end of the crossover prepped and positioned. But I can drill the hole for the switch machine. That is the next order of business. I'm going to drill those 6 holes, then I'm going to get some feeder wires on, and then 5 of those turnouts can be installed. Well, that is the mass of turnouts installed, along with the first 3 yard tracks completed. That's all my weights used up, even though it's still too early to go in. So I think I'm just going to spend the rest of the day putting bus wires through, and that will be a good day's work. Well, this is what yesterday's progress looks like with all the weights removed. You can see 3 yard tracks completed and about half the yard ladder done. And as I mentioned earlier, I got as far as the bridge on the main line. I think this morning I'm going to concentrate on getting the rest of the turnouts in. So I'm going to work my way back from the glue bottle, past the brush, past the Mountain Dew cans, and connect up where the crimp connectors are. And then once I've got those in, I can lay the track anywhere I want to. So let me just get organized. Got a lot of crap to move out of the way first, and I'll talk to you again later. Well, that is all the remaining turnouts positioned approximately where they go. I think the first step is to prep these first 4 that run together. So the number 8 in front of the camera now, and then the front line going past the weights, and then hooking up with the custom curved turnout that I started prepping yesterday. Well, that is all of those turnouts prepped and positioned. I've also drilled all the holes for the switch machines. I may not have mentioned before, but where I got blue masking tape, that's just to cover any gaps that poke out between the edge of the ties. It doesn't make any difference to the operation, but it does make it a lot easier to ballast it later, because it will stop the ballast falling through the hole. Anyway, the next task is to get those turned over, get some feeder wires attached, and then I can start installing them. Well, that is 5 of those 8 turnouts with the feeders attached and permanently glued in place. I have to take care of something inside quickly, and then I will come back out and install the other 3. Well, that is all the turnouts installed, so I can now pretty much lay track anywhere I want to in any order. While I have the bench in front, I'm just going to finish off this area of the yard. 3 more yard tracks and a couple of short pieces in there for the thoroughfare track. Well, that is another 3 yards of track laid. My stomach is telling me that it's time to go in and get some food, so I'm just going to go and get lunch, and I'll come back out and continue this afternoon. Well, that is the remainder of the yard and one of the spurs in the back corner laid. Everything else is going to be easier to reach from the other side. So I'm going to reorganize my tools, move my bench outside the railroad, and continue from there. Well, that is all the spurs in this back corner installed. All 8 of them. That's 8 including the one that I laid earlier from the other side. There's 7 in this back corner for shipping, 4 for shipping ethanol, 1 for corn syrup, and then there's 2 more spurs at the back that head into buildings, and one of them is for a product known as wet cake. I'm not 100% sure which spur that was intended for. I think it was this one with the fast track weights on it, and then the other spur is for shipping a different product. I can't remember what it is, but I know there was another product that ethanol plants sometimes ship, and that's what that spur is for. Anyway, there's still plenty of time left today, but I don't have a lot of track left. I've got 1 full length and some pieces, and I still need probably 40 feet or so, because I've got the long lead track and the main line grade down to the harbour. I think I heard the UPS guy arrive a while ago, so I'm going to go and check to see if he dropped off my track order. If he has, then I can continue. If not, I will call it a day and continue working on a different project inside.
Well, that's all for this week. Hope you enjoyed the video, found it useful or interesting, or both. That is the last major area of track to be installed on this railroad. There's still a couple of missing pieces here and there, and I'll get those taken care of when the time is right. Next week it will be on to switch machines, and I hope to see you back here for that. So in the meantime, thanks for watching, and bye for now.